Morning, guys. Today, Conor McGregor shares with us another piece of advice for us to remember in everything we do, and that is think outside the box. Conor McGregor shares with us his experience when he was in the gym, training, looking for the right coach, the right mentor to help him with his fighting style. And he recalls in his life being frustrated because every gym he went to, they would want him to do a punch a certain way, a kick a certain way, and try to fit into a certain style. And this he knew deep down inside wasn't the way of a human being. He knew for himself, like everyone else, that we have our own unique style and that everything leads to that unique style. So when he found a coach that encouraged him to do different things and to do different movements, he knew that he had found his place. So remember, you got to think outside the box. Think about where you can apply that today, wherever you are. Have a great morning, everyone.
Sometimes when the dream is so big, the fact that it's so big becomes paralyzing because you think about where you are right now and you think, holy cow, that thing that I really want? I don't even how do you even start when the dream is so big? So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to shrink it down because you know me, I am all about simplicity. I'm all about making sure that the advice works for you because if it doesn't work for you, you're not going to do it. And I'm all about switching how you think about things, making this smaller and making it something that I'm learning about rather than doing and launching and that somehow thinking about it differently frees up the ability to get started. If I get you to start doing that and you do this every day for 10 or 15 minutes, which you absolutely can, guess what's going to happen? You're going to feel momentum. You're going to feel like you're working on it. You're going to meet people that are interested in it. You're going to learn things that are going to lead to the next thing that you need to learn. And you will have mastered the art of getting started. And by doing something a little bit every day, you're also going to master the art of continuing to keep going. And from there, it'll snowball. I promise you. I promise you.
Think big, act small. Think big. You got a big dream, a big goal, a big mission, some big thing that you want to get done. That's where we love being as entrepreneurs, right? We love thinking about the big future and what we could build. And it is amazing and exciting, but it can also be overwhelming. It can be stressful. It can be hurtful to our own self-esteem because tell me if this happened to you. You've got this big idea and big goal, and it's exciting to think about it, but then it also becomes scary and it becomes impossible and it becomes something that someone like you can't do. And then we get overwhelmed by the details and then we can't do anything about it because it feels too big. And to execute it, we need a team and we need venture capital and we need investors and we need better people around us and we need more skills, and all of these doubts and insecurities creep in. Does that sound familiar? Is that you? It certainly is me. I want to solve the world's biggest problem. People don't believe in themselves enough. And anytime I think even close to that scale, it's instantly, wow, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? I'm nowhere close. And so the thing that's really helped me is think big, but then act small. Because the biggest thing that most people are missing, I'm missing, you're missing, is just momentum. The biggest thing we're missing is just we're not doing enough. Because thinking big and having a big idea is amazing, but that alone is not enough. You have to go and you got to do the work. And we're so worried about the work being perfect, right? You're so worried about the first thing being amazing. And it won't be. And this is a hard lesson that I learned when I was in my early 20s in my first business, and we lost a $40 million deal because I was trying to be perfect. And I spent the whole summer working on this perfect plan. And I lost the deal. And I'm a recovering perfectionist. And I think saying you're a perfectionist really just means you're afraid, right? You're afraid of it not being good enough. You're afraid of launching something and people seeing it and judging you. Or you're afraid of launching it and then not seeing it and nobody caring, right? We're afraid of being seen and not being seen, both at the same time. We're afraid. And so the answer is to do something. Immediate action. I've been helping people in my Movement Makers program get going on YouTube and now on TikTok, and the amount of indecision that people have around creating their first video, right? What should I wear? What should I say? What should my opening line be? What should my thumbnail be? What kind of gear should I use? What kind of camera? What kind of microphone? What kind of fill in the blank, right? All the things that just prevent you from taking action. Where the answer is just film, honestly, like just get something up. Look, I'm filming this video on my phone walking down the street. I didn't sleep that well last night, and getting some sunshine on my face and just pressing record and going. And I'm doing the best I can with what I have. And that's what you need to do, is just get it started, because the best plan that you can come up with right now is nowhere close to the plan that will help you win. You know, the plan that you come up with right now is not going to be the one that works, because you don't have all the information. And so the idea that you can plan what the end looks like and the path to get there is impossible. And so we spend our best energy planning and thinking instead of actually doing. And that's a big problem. And so it starts with, hey, you've got this big idea, awesome. Now what are you going to do today about it? Today. There's a couple of hacks that I want to share with you that I think can help. So the first is the 2% difference. And the 2% difference says, instead of planning for 100%, you work on the first 2%. So what is that first 2%? That's all you need to work on. What's the first 2%? So if you're thinking about YouTube or making a TikTok, you're thinking about a health journey, you're thinking about whatever it is for your business that you want to launch, what's the first 2%? And just start building momentum. So, you know, if you want to make a YouTube video, go film a video. Just take your phone and film a video just like I am right now. You want to get started on TikTok? Cool, same thing. Flip your phone the other way, vertical, and start making your video. You want to start a health journey? Cool. You know, we get so stuck on figuring out what the perfect workout's going to be, right? Have you ever done this? Well, am I going to do HIIT? Am I going to do cardio? How many weights am I going to do? Am I going to hurt myself? Do I need to hire a trainer? What new equipment do I need to buy? You know, we just get stuck in all this planning mode instead of doing. Just do anything. Just go for a walk. Do 5 push-ups. You know, do a couple burpees. Whatever comes to mind. It doesn't matter what you do. It's matter that you're doing something. That's the big difference. It doesn't matter the specific action that you're taking. What matters is that you're starting to build some kind of momentum. You're doing something. That's the most important thing, because if you get up and you do something every day, you're going to find that you start making some tremendous progress towards things. And so 2% difference is to teach yourself that you go from an idea to some kind of immediate action, that we're doing something right away on it. We're not planning for 100%, but we're going for that first 2%. The next thing is just expect to suck at the beginning. You know, we expect to be great out of the gate for some reason. You expect your idea to work, you expect you're going to have the skills, you expect you're going to create something amazing. You won't. Just expect to suck at the start. It doesn't mean that you suck as a human. It just means that you don't have the skill set yet. And that's okay. That's normal, and that's totally okay. That's fine. Go back and watch my first video. It was pretty embarrassing. Go back and watch anybody's first anything, and it sucks. It's normal. So if you expect to be great, and then you try something and you can't do it, then you feel really bad about yourself. But if you expect it to suck, and then you're just anything above complete terrible sucking, then you're good. Then you've won. And so apply the 2% difference, and then just expect to suck at the start, and then you keep going. So for anybody out there who's afraid to take action, who, you know, you have these big ideas, big goals, big dreams, big things you want to do, but it just seems so out of reach, and it seems impossible, and it seems that you can't do it, and it's never going to work, you know, and you're stuck in overthinking, over planning, over estimating, just stuck in your head. And it's crazy how quickly we can go from being excited by something to then almost instantly overwhelmed by it, you know. And so you need to have the big dream, you need to have the big goal that should get you out of bed and excited. It's like, yes, this is the change I want to make in the world. Amazing. And at the same time, you need an incredibly small action plan just to get going, because you've got the great heart and the big dream and the big mission. The only thing you're missing is momentum.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Anyone
Good afternoon, guys. Thinking outside the box is so challenging for us because for most of us, we are pretty much have an environment that's designed as if it was a box for us. And the one thing that's helped me, and I want you to remember this, is that you are unlimited through the power of your mind. You have to remember that there is nothing about you that is intended to be contained in a box. Now, you may have to accept certain conditions the way they are right now, but I want you to remember your most incredible power. It's your belief in yourself, and then it's your determination, your choice to never give up on remembering your unlimited potential. And every moment you have, every experience you have right now where you are, remember, you're the one that has to tap into that unlimited power. And you can. Believe it and never give up on it. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Everybody's looking for so much outside validation that they're impatient. They want to show everybody that they're successful, thus they're rushing into things. You have 23-year-olds who think that they don't have their life figured out, yet they're living for another 80 years. Patience has been huge for me. Most people hear the word patience and have it confused with complacency, laziness, lack of ambition. It's not true. I actually think patience has been foundational in my success. I decided to build my dad's business for him for the first 12 years of my career. That required huge patience from somebody who thought they were great. I didn't even start, quote unquote, until I was 34. Patience is huge, it's huge, and people don't want to do it because they want instant gratification. And more importantly, instant outside validation.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Gary Vaynerchuk, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, start seriously.
Life is about understanding the alternative. It's really hard to complain about what milk was put in your Starbucks when you came from the dirt. So, there's a lot that we don't need to touch on in this room. I could talk about what I think you should be doing from a content standpoint, because the reality is, I promise you, the number one variable of growing your business in this room that is practical, achievable, doable, is how serious you take making content on the internet. It's that simple. No matter what anybody in this room says to me of why no, because they've never started and they have an ideology, or because they've made 45 posts on Instagram and haven't sold anything yet, no matter what your excuse is, I promise you, social media is not broken in that story. You're the one that's broken. It was funny. Last week, someone's like, Gary, you've been talking about LinkedIn, and he showed me the posts, and he's like, it's not working. And in the post, I'm talking about making content in the feed of LinkedIn, knowing who you're trying to reach, running ads against the employees of those organizations for content in the feed. And then I ask him what he's doing, and he's spamming people by paying $100 a month for a script that just emails people on LinkedIn. That little story is something I think about every day. The ROI, I like to say, of a basketball is billions of dollars for LeBron James. It's zero for me. How one plays with the tools is the variable of success. And so we can get into the mindset, very much the intro, which was lovely, thank you, and in depth. I do believe that the far majority of what is the opportunity in this room or the limitation sits in two very simple categories. One's uncomfortably black and white, and one is remarkably gray. The black and white is what I just started with. Until you start making dozens of videos, pictures, and written articles a week, you will continue to leave an extraordinary amount of money on the table, and somebody sitting next to you is gonna do it and take your market share. And I don't care if you've been the queen of that city for 30 years and work on your reputation, slowly but surely you will lose, because that's what always happens in business. If that wasn't the case, IBM would still be winning. I love this industry, and I love OGs, because my dad's an OG. I started so young, I'm an OG. Like, I love OG life, and it is absolutely building on reputation. But I love when an agent says to me, dear, you don't get it. I dominate this town for the last 30 years. I'm like, dear, you don't get it. You don't get it. Much bigger companies than you have gone out of business with audacity. And it is audacity in 2022. It is only, and this is very clear, if you're sitting in the crowd and you're not doing this work, it's only two things, and they're both interesting. One is audacity. You're audacious that what you did in 1993 or 2001 or 2007 is enough for you to dominate 2022, or you've lost your ambition, which is okay. I don't think of that as a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing that you're not as hungry. Maybe you've scratched your itch. Maybe you do want to do other parts in your life. But don't lie to yourself, and understand yourself on where you are in your journey. 2022 is going to be a remarkable opportunity for this room. The question is very simple though. Who's going to actually put in the 30 hours of work starting today to actually know how to do pictures and videos and written words on these platforms, and who's not? And it becomes a very simple game. It's a black and white prescriptive game. Either you're good at it or you're not. No different than basketball.
Rule number 3, choose people over profits.
It is very clear to me, 25 years into my career, that kindness and empathy and patience and humility are actually the foundations. And I think the things that all of us think about as soft skills and emotional intelligence are actually the hard skills. That it is far easier for me to find people who are good at the task or have good math skills than it is to find people who are capable of being the bigger woman or bigger man in the face of pressure or adversity. And so for 20 years or so, this has been in my subconscious. COVID, like for many of us, gave me a time to reflect, and I immediately went into writing the book on a couple of reasons. One, I'm incredibly aware that there's a lot of young people paying attention to my moves, are fans of what I do, and I thought it would be a disservice if I wasn't incredibly aggressive in my communication on the things that I see as a winning formula. It becomes double important when I realize that most people don't talk about kindness as the single alpha skill in building a successful empire. And I thought it was a unique take. It's also very nuanced. The reason the subtitle is Ingredients is when I was going through my process, I realized, oh, I never just deploy empathy. I never just deploy patience. In every situation, it's actually 3 or 4 different traits, often traits that are in a conflict with each other. It's very interesting to be tenacious and ambitious while being patient. And so I liked the concept of ingredients because it's like cooking a meal. I think we all believe that sweet and sour chicken is something that is delicious, but sweet and sour can see at conflict. So I felt that I was the right person at the right time. And what has transpired in the last 18 months, because I wrote the book very quickly in the beginning of COVID, obviously it takes time for it to come out and things of that nature. Many of us are thinking about things in the business world around the concept of the Great Resignation and the concept of people even applying into businesses in the first place in a world of options. I think the importance of being a leader that understands these traits has even compounded in the last 18 months since I even wrote it, which feels serendipitous and exciting for me. And I really hope that people also, if they read it, realize this is not a book that is meant to over-coddle the millennials or Gen Z. This is truly believing that this is the alpha infrastructure to building significantly large, successful businesses.
Rule number 4, embrace change.
What blows my mind is people's inability to put in the work in the face of information. All of you know that this blockchain thing is brewing. You've definitely heard about Bitcoin at this point. You've probably maybe heard of Ethereum. It's happening, and it's gonna affect this industry soonest. This is the book industry for the internet. The blockchain is contracts. Please understand that. Please, it's a very important thing. Please spend 15 hours Googling Ethereum and smart contracts. Get educated, not to play defense, but to play offense. You do 15 to 30 hours of homework, you might just change your career. You might shift slightly in what you're doing now to something else. It's a remarkable time. And one thing I know about an immigrant-centric reality is it's not scared to put in the work. And I really know this statement. It likes to pick which work it wants to do. People don't like change. And change is the only guarantee. What the blockchain eventually will do is change the face of what brokerages, leverages in the ecosystem. Right now is the time to build your personal brand on the internet, and I mean right now. How you do that can be totally different. You don't need to be over the top or curse like me. You need to be you. I'm me, you be you. But what you need to do is start producing content to educate people on who you are. If you're uncomfortable with the way you look and you don't want to be on video, then do audio and do a podcast. If you're not sure that you can handle the camera, then write on LinkedIn or Facebook. If you feel more comfortable being the hostess with the mostest, start a Facebook group regionally within your area. One of the greatest arbitrages in this industry right now is starting a Facebook group for the local area where you sell around the town, not around selling homes, bringing people in, building community, and then just happening to be the person that's hosting that group and picking up the business. These are the black and white tactics available to you. How you build your team and how much empathy you have for the consumer on the other side is the other variable. But the opportunity is staggering. It is staggering. The speed in which people are changing what they consume, which then dictates what they think, which then dictates how they buy, is at a level we've never seen before. I come here, fly across the country and fly back for one reason, to put so much pressure on this room to do the homework. To do the homework. I mean it. The opportunity is so real. You are literally one, because I'm on the receiving end of these messages. You're one viral TikTok video away from selling 13 homes because of it. And you don't go in there and start doing the latest dance. You're trying to sell homes. And you're more than welcome to shake your ass, fine, but it's a lot more interesting to talk about what you want to talk about, but making it contextual to the room. People say no so much. TikTok's fastest growing demo It's 38 to 55-year-olds. You can still think it's 12-year-olds. It hasn't been 12-year-olds for 2 years. That's the game of no versus the game of yes. That's the game of staying curious. The biggest vulnerability to people in business today trying to sell to human beings is their unbelievable calmness and interest in saying the word no, and their visceral reaction to the idea of maybe. The innovation that we're living through is big. The opportunity is even bigger. But this requires homework. Before you decide that content on social media can't sell for you, did you really do the 20 hours of homework and the 50 hours of you doing it? It doesn't count when you have your niece do 6 posts for you. This world is reading about push-ups instead of doing them. I wish, actually, that's actually not even true. I wish this was a game of people reading about push-ups and not doing it. We're not even reading about push-ups. We're dismissing push-ups before we even read about them. I ask you and implore you here today, my friends, to open up your heart to curiosity, to open up your eyes to the reality of what's happening in our society and how people are making their decisions, and to shed your preconceived notions and start putting in the work. For a lot of us, me included, it was easy to put in the hard labor, right? It was easy to put in the work. It's much more challenging to figure out the new technologies. The problem is the world doesn't care about you and me. The world's gonna do what the world does. And the way people are gonna make buying decisions are gonna be based on the people they see here. Period. End of story. And if you're not showing up here in 2022, you're not showing up.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, develop emotional intelligence.
I believe that
Again, guys, how did it go today? Were you able to think outside the box, even for a moment? Well, I want to share with you a personal example. This says everything about us as human beings. I have the pleasure and good grace of working with children every day, and I can tell you, working with the younger ones, and this is how we all were, don't ever forget this, when they come into that gym, they are free, happy, and excited. There is no way that anyone is going to contain them in a box for long, because their spirit is free. It's unlimited. It has not been conditioned by life circumstances. And that is how we are. I want us to remember that. We are that kid still inside. And so to think outside the box, that is what you're supposed to do. That is what you're designed to do. So never forget that. Always try and think beyond where you are right now. Have a great evening, everyone.
Aim at it. As you move toward it, you'll get wiser. Then maybe your aim will change. That's okay, but at least it'll change in an informed way. It's like discipline yourself in one dimension. See what happens. Well, that's exciting, and I think that's something that's open for everyone. You can do that. I shouldn't say that because I don't believe that. I think you can find yourself in a situation that's so dire that there's no escape from it. But that doesn't matter because the best we have might not always work, but it's still the best we have. And the fact that it might not work doesn't mean we should throw it away. It's still the best we have. I mean, everyone dies, and so we fail in some sense. The fact that a symphony ends doesn't mean that it wasn't worth listening to.
Need motivation?
Watch this top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Jordan Peterson, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, look where it's important.
You look where you think it's important to look. So I'll say that again. You look where you think it's important to look. And that means that, well, a hierarchy of importance is no different than a hierarchy of value. They are the same thing. A hierarchy of priority is the same as a hierarchy of value. And a hierarchy of priority and a hierarchy of value and an ethic are all the same thing, right? Because you're going to look at what you believe to be of cardinal importance. Otherwise, you look, well, if you're talking to someone and you look at their feet, that's not going to be going very well, right? First of all, they're not going to be very impressed with you because they actually want you to look at their eyes. And that's because we communicate value with our eyes. And we do that directly. Our eyes have even evolved to do that. Our eyes have whites around the iris so that you can see where people point them. Because it's that important to know what people think is important. We see the world through a structure of value. And I think that a huge part of that structure of value is actually derived from the entire set of texts and their interrelationship that have the biblical corpus at their base. And so it seems to me that I think you can make a pretty damn strong case, maybe on scientific grounds, that you can't see the world except through the lens of the Bible. Like literally, you actually can't see it. Now, if it's not the Bible, it might be some other corpus of texts, but it might be. It isn't. And if it was, well, is it going to be a corpus of texts that we share? Because if it isn't, then we can't share our perceptions and our values, and if we can't share those, then we fight. Those are the options, right? We either stabilize our hierarchies of value in some way that we agree upon mutually, or we fight. Or we're unbelievably chaotic and confused, and that'll just produce fighting in any case. And so we have this structure of texts built from the bottom up. It's predicated on the biblical narratives. And the texts exist in relationship to those underlying narratives. They have a fair bit of their meaning from the meaning of the underlying narratives and vice versa. And so then is it possible that biblical truth is the sort of truth that is the precondition for truth? Right? Because you think, well, it's religious people make the claim, people of the Bible make the claim the Bible is true. Well, there's all sorts of different kinds of truth. That's an interesting claim, but it's not very elaborated. It's insufficient. And often what happens to Christians when they debate skilled atheists like Richard Dawkins is they treat the Bible like it's a scientific theory, and Dawkins just mops the floor with them because it's actually not a scientific theory compared to theories. And so as soon as you go there, well, it's like a scientific theory. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. And so does that mean it's not true? Well, it means that if the only thing you think is true is a scientific theory, but I don't think that you can practice science except within an ethical framework that's not in itself science. And so it's possible to be deeper truth than the scientific truth, which is the ethic that has to be a priority before you can use
That's going to involve early automatization of letter and word recognition. So because is we teach a child to read, first of all, we teach them the alphabet and sounds, and we have an alphabetic language, thank God, because it makes things much simpler. And so you teach them the letters, and then the 2-letter combinations, and then the 3-letter combinations, and then they can sound out syllables, and then they get words. But it isn't until you can read phrases automatically at a glance that you can read for content and pleasure. So a lot of kids get stuck, especially if they don't come from particularly literate homes, where all of this is sort of taught, maybe starting at, 12 months when they're first dragging a book around and becoming familiar with the book as an object, right, before they even learn to read. You got to get kids through that automatization phase, and that requires intense mass practice. That's not that intrinsically interesting, right? But if you can get them to the point where they can read for content, well, then it starts to become interesting, just as interesting, let's say, as going to a movie or perhaps playing a video game. And so that has to be made an absolute priority. And if the faculties of education were doing their job, they would have technology to solve that problem for virtually every child, because it is only a matter of practice. Smarter kids will learn faster, but with enough practice, pretty much everybody is going to get there. So, and then there's the marketing issue. It's like, well, why should you read? Well, do you want to be stupid? You want to be stupid? What happens when you're stupid? You walk into walls because you don't see them. And if someone comes along who's more educated than you, more literate and cannier, you'll lose, man. You'll lose. And you'll lose too because you can't think properly. So you won't aim at the right things. And you won't be informed by the great individuals of the past. And you need that. We're historical creatures. This isn't optional. So part of it has to be marketing, for lack of a better word. It's not really that. It's an explanation. Why be literate? Because it helps you become who you could be. It helps you move out into the world and have your great adventure and to bring people along. Nobody knows what you can do if you've got your words lined up properly. And young men would listen to that if someone who knew what they were talking about was telling them that, as you found out.
Rule number 4, you be the right person.
If you want an answer to the first question, which is how do I find the person right for me, you actually start by asking the second question, which is what can I bring to the table for someone else? And if you're really good at bringing something to the table for someone else, hey man, people might be lining up to be your partner. If they're not, then you might think, well, maybe I'm just not bringing anything to the table. And that's worth thinking, especially if you're desperate, you're lost, and you're alone. It's like, maybe I got this wrong. And I usually sort of top that with the suggestion that even if you did find the person who was perfect for you, and they're that perfect, what makes you think they wouldn't take one look at you and run screaming away? And they likely would if they were that perfect, because, really, are you that much of a catch? And if you think you are, that might be part of the problem. So that's one, right? Intimate relationship. So I would say to you at the crossroads, develop a vision for your relationship.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. See you there. Number 5, maintain moral orientation. How do you